evening and welcome to Dermot and Philip's Political Till We Die. Yes, where we talk all things politics, where Philip is still learning the Trump dance and Ronan's trying to learn it off him too. They're both going to kill me after this for saying that. Joining us tonight is a world-renowned journalist, also a brilliant author as well, with many books on the Irish independent fight. Of course, also he does a brilliant tour, I've been told, on the First World War as well. Absolutely top man, top journalist as well. It's Ronan McGeevy. Ronan, thank you for joining us yet again. We love having
thank you, Dermot. Always
How
a
are
pleasure.
you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good.
Yeah, and anything breaking in Ireland you can tip us off on this? Micheál Martin about to resign, or
no? He's going to Washington come hell or high water.
Now, I tell you one thing. I told you this earlier, didn't I, Philip? Over a minute, Philip. I was speaking to an elderly lady in our local shop today, and we were talking about Micheál Martin going to America. She says, I've been a Fianna Fáil supporter for 60 years. I am now voting Sinn Féin because Micheál Martin's going to America. I mean, it's quite shocking, isn't it? It's quite divisive in this country about him going to America, isn't it, Ronan? Really is.
Yeah, I mean, he's he's damned if he do and damned if he doesn't. That's the problem here. And as I think I might have said to you last week, it isn't just about the White House. It's about maintaining those contacts on Capitol Hill that have been so important to Ireland. And we know how important America is to Ireland in terms of the economic impact that it has with all the multinationals that are here. So he's going to have to suck it up, I think. And, you know, I short of, you know, him invading Greenland or something like that, I cannot see circumstances in which Micheál Martin will not go to the White House. The problem is, what's he going to say when he gets there? And now, Micheál Martin was a paragon of diplomacy last year. I mean, he's the first Cork man to keep his mouth shut for at least 5 minutes in a row, because he just allowed Trump to rabbit on. And remember that your man Frederick Merz went there last week, and he had to listen to Trump sounding off about Pedro Sanchez, the Spanish Prime Minister, and about Keir Starmer. And you know, I would trust that Micheál Martin will acquit himself well on this stage. But it's you know, I know people are angry about it, but in the end of the day, I don't think he has a choice but to go. He does have a choice, but it's not a palatable one. So he's going. I think that's fair to say.
He is going, sadly. But yeah, that was funny. Watching him during the week giving out about Spain, he had the German Chancellor there, couldn't say a word, could he?
Yeah.
Big up to you, Philip. Good evening. How are you? See, you've got Starlink sorted out. Have you? Did you ring up Elon Musk and give him a few home truths?
I just off the phone to him there now. Funny enough, it's been great all day. It's great all the time. Just 2 minutes before we were due to come on, it just went. But it's back now anyway. So, you know, and just my pennyworth on the Micheál Martin to the White House situation. I think he's playing the long game. With you know, it's not just Donald Trump's tendency we have to keep friendly with America. It's during the next 50 years. And by not going this year, while it's objectionable that he has to go, I think he's playing the long game to make sure that we still have access in years to come when Donald Trump is long gone, but not forgotten.
And, you know, as well as that, when you think about it, Philip, I mean, if there's a Republican president after 28, they're not going to forget this, you know. So, I mean, I don't think it'll be J.D. Vance, but if it was somebody like Marco Rubio, they're going to say, you know, you turned your back on us when we were in the middle of a war. We don't want you here anymore. So you could get frozen out for years. And I think he's doing the right thing, going. But I wouldn't envy him.
I think he has to bite his lip.
Yeah.
For the whole time he's there. After the time he comes back.
I mean, Philip, look, do you really think, with all what's going on, that anyone would have the guts to do that? They pulled the 25th Amendment on him. To say to them, sorry, Mr. President, we think you've lost your marbles and it's time for you to go. Do you think anyone will have the guts to do that within the Republican Party?
Well, J.D. Vance is very quiet at the moment. You can barely a peep out of him. And he's supposed to be anti-war, which I suppose is something good about him. It has to be the vice president and 25 members of Congress. I forget how many members of Congress have to sign the.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very high bar.
It's a high bar. Have any of them got the guts to do it? Not a chance. They will just bow down and do what they're told, which is they've been doing for the last time Trump has been in charge. They must be the most spineless bunch of politicians, and they're really putting their own political interests ahead of the country, which is shocking.
It is. It really is. Right. Let's crack on. Let's get on with Iran, which is dominating the airwaves at the moment. Every day there's different videos or pictures or somebody else from the IRGC's been knocked out. I must admit their precision drones are great. The Americans are not knocking down buildings. They were showing a picture last night. They took out a commander of the IRGC. And the drone was so accurate, it went into his apartment.
Oh, boy.
And that was it. Didn't damage anything else. But I mean, want to start now first on this little bit of unconfirmed news. Apparently, Israel have confirmed the IDF have taken out the new leader of the Supreme Leaders Military Bureau, Qasem, I can't pronounce his second name. Lord, if I wanted to try. In Iran.
Abayan. Let's go with that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll give you the difficult names in the future. But look, to you both, do you understand what Donald Trump's game plan is at the moment with Iran? Or has he got a game plan?
I think he's making it up as he goes along, to be honest with you. There's certainly no end game. Not yet, anyway. Yeah. But I think he's just letting Israel get on with it, to be honest with you. You know, I think Israel seem to be doing a lot of the shot, calling the shots here. Maybe I'm wrong, but it certainly says Netanyahu is pulling the strings.
I think that I mean, he set two goals. One was the destruction of Iran's capacity to build a nuclear weapon, which he would appear to indicate has not been destroyed, because he's talking now about putting special forces on the ground in Iran. Good luck with that. The second thing is to degrade Iran's military capacity. And Iran has built up a vast missile stock of ballistic missiles plus drones. And the idea is, and I'm only telling you what the American administration says, I don't necessarily believe this to be true, but that they have such a huge stockpile of missiles and drones that it would be impossible for in a year or two for the United States or Israel to conduct an operation like this. So in other words, if Iran has such a big stockpile, it means that it will be impossible for the United States and Israel to take them out, you know. So that's their thinking. Regime change is a long way down the agenda at this stage. But those are the two principal goals.
Did I read somewhere that the drones Iran are putting in to the Gulf states cost about $20,000 each? Yeah. But the Americans and the Israelis are using interceptor missiles, which cost $1 million each to intercept them.
Well, that's why they've now got the
misbalance there, isn't there?
Yeah, well, that's why they've now enlisted the help of the Ukrainians, who can build anti-drone drones for $3,000 each, which is a bit of a turn up for the books, given that we're a year on from the "you don't have the cards" speech in the White House. It's amazing how things have turned around. And what's interesting as well is in relation to the Ukraine-Russian war, we now have confirmation that the Russians are helping the Iranians, and so therefore, does this change the calculus that the Americans have in relation to the war in Ukraine? Because we know that in Ukraine, that the Americans have been worryingly accommodating towards the Russians, but if the Russians are taking the side of Iran now, do the Americans take the side of Ukraine finally? So that this is all it's all developing, you know, very quickly at the moment.
I think that Catherine Levitt more or less said that didn't count. They weren't too worried about Russia helping Iran, even though it could end up in the deaths of American soldiers.
Yeah.
An awful
Well, they're
state.
going to say that, aren't they? But the reality is that if the Russians are seen actively helping the Iranians, what does that mean for the American support, basically, for Russia in the war against Ukraine? I mean, you could have a situation where Trump turns around and says, now that the Russians are helping the Iranians, we're going to help the Ukrainians, we're going to give them everything that they said they wanted in the first place. And of course, the Ukrainians now have leverage over the Americans because of their fantastic anti-drone technology. So I think we're kind of in the Third World War at the moment. I mean, when you see everything that's happening, I don't want to get too melodramatic about it. I mean, we're not talking about 1939 or 1914. This is becoming a global conflict very quickly.
It is, because if you think about it, you've got a European war, you've got war in the Middle East, you've got Pakistan and Afghanistan going at each other. Don't worry, Donald Trump will solve them all. He really wants his Nobel Peace Prize, as Philip says. Just a bit of breaking news. I think there was this has come from Al Jazeera, that a projectile has hit somewhere in Saudi Arabia, and also Bahrain have said that I'm just waiting for it to come around again. Their water plant has been attacked as well, as well in Bahrain. The Iranian president came on 2 days ago, sitting there saying, we apologize to our brothers in the Middle East. We won't hit you again, we promise. We've taken it. It's come from the council. We've all said we're not doing it. 24 hours later, he's bombing them to bits. So can we really believe anything the Iranian president says, or was he only a puppet for the supreme leader? If anyone and that's to anyone.
Well, I think what happened was that he made that sort of olive branch, but the caveat was that these countries couldn't allow the use of American bases, and that's not going to happen. I mean, it was an offer, to paraphrase The Godfather, that they couldn't accept. But aside from that, even if you do think that this is a kind of an olive branch of whatever, I mean, the Americans have trampled on that, because Trump has now said that he wants the unconditional surrender of Iran. He also wants he wants to have a say in who the next supreme leader of Iran is. I mean, I would have thought this is very bad diplomacy. I mean, I suspect the Iranians are a fairly proud people. They don't want to be seen to bow down to the Americans, and also, he's talking about unconditional surrender. This happens very, very, very rarely in warfare. I mean, you would really have to destroy the entire country before you get unconditional surrender. So I don't know what Trump is at. I mean, does anybody know? Does he know what he's at? Because I mean, I would have thought that his strategic goals are, as he put it, to get rid of the Iranian nuclear threat and degrade their missile capacity. I don't know where unconditional surrender comes into all of this.
No.
Do you see? Sorry, go on, Dan.
I was just saying, Philip. Look, if you look at Donald Trump, right, and nobody's saying that the Iranian regime is great. Everyone would be glad to see the back of them. Everyone would be glad to see them gone, because of the amount of money they're giving to all the other terrorist groups around the Middle East. You've got Hamas, you've got Hezbollah as well in Lebanon, and the Houthis as well that they're supplying. So nobody really will shed a tear to see the back of a bunch of these murdering psychopaths, as Donald Trump calls them. Bad, evil people, in his words. But Philip, I heard something this morning that back in 1953, the Americans and British went into Iran to get rid of a very popular leader back then. That then they put in the Shah. And then he was very brutal. And then, because the Islamic regime came in because of the Shah, with Britain and America going into carving up the Middle East like they did over the decades, it's in this sort of, they're reaping what they sowed by sticking their nose into something they don't really understand. And you've got the Gulf War as well, back in 90 and 2003. Doesn't history tell you that, hang on, we shouldn't get involved in any of this? We don't fully understand how these people want to live.
When you think the two Gulf Wars, really, and plus other items that happened over the last 50 years, I would have told Americans to be very wary of what they do in the Middle East and over there. And obviously, they haven't learned the lesson. What the actual aim, what they're at the minute, is still very unclear. It's not the weapons, not nuclear weapons. Apparently, that's supposed to have been done. It's not regime change. Is it oil? Is he trying to corner the market in oil? I don't know. Maybe he is.
I don't think he is. I don't think oil is he's not looking for the oil because America is fairly self-sufficient in oil. But what he wants to do is to choke off oil that comes through the Straits of Hormuz for China. Now, in terms of the 1953 coup, this was a notorious coup whereby basically Iran, I mean, the Shah had been in place since 1941. He was very much a figurehead at that stage. And there was democratic elections in Iran, and they had a secular socialist ruler called Mossadegh who nationalized BP, as it was then, or as it is now, who was the big oil producer in the Middle East. And the Americans and the British conspired to bring him down in a coup attempt, and basically the Shah took over then as an absolute ruler, and this was never forgotten by the Iranian people, and that this is one of the reasons for the Islamic Revolution in 1979 was to get rid of the Shah, because he was regarded as, not unreasonably, I think, as a puppet of the West. So now we have his son, Rishi Palara, I think is his name, who now I have to say, he does not want to come back. I don't think that's what he wants to do. I think what he wants to actually do is to be the figurehead of an alternative to the current government. I mean, most people in Iran are far too young to remember his father, the Shah. I mean, he was an oppressive individual as well, although not on the same scale as the Ayatollahs, as the Islamic Republic. I mean, one of the reasons he fell from office is that he refused to shoot down protesters in the street. He says, "I'm not a tyrant." Even though, like, he was brutal in his own way, but he never went as far as the Islamic Republic did to preserve his power. I mean, one of the things that's interesting is that there are these unofficial polls that come out. There are institutions in Europe that poll Iranians, and they try to do it in as scientific a form as possible. But about 35% of the people want the Shah back as a figurehead. Only about 20% of the people of Iran now support the Islamic Republic, not just because of the oppression, but because the country's in a terrible state. I mean, they're even talking about evacuating the capital to Tehran, from Tehran, because they don't have enough water. So, I mean, there is a long history of this, but that document that you brought up, that's the first I've seen of it, that there's a talk of of an interim regime. Now, I spoke to an Iranian woman on Friday about this for the Irish Times. It'll be in the paper tomorrow, and she says that there is a long tradition of democracy in Iran. It isn't a country that isn't used to democracy. There was a sort of democracy under the Islamic Republic, but they had to vet the candidates before they went into office, so it was a fake transition. But I mean, for want of a better plan, at least this is something to go by. So so we'll see,
Yeah. What do you reckon to this plan, Philip? What do you think this is the way that it should go if they do get rid of the Islamic regime and they do bring the Shah back in, but maybe as a temporary gap until free elections are held? Is this the way this plan?
It could be. Donald Trump said a few days ago he wasn't going to support this guy because he wasn't popular enough. Now, you can take what Donald Trump says usually with a pinch of salt, so maybe he means exactly the opposite. So who knows? Maybe it is an alternative plan. Maybe.
But who is the alternative? I mean, there is no kind of secular version of the Ayatollah Khomeini who's in exile who can come back and unite this people. I mean, this is a country of 92 million people with significant minorities as well. I mean, we forget about all of that, and I don't know what the answer is, which is why I do think that even having the Shah as a figurehead, as a figurehead as a symbol that the old order is gone, would be worth considering in the absence of any better ideas that people have.
Possibly. But I know we mentioned boots on the ground earlier there. There's a couple of things about that. There is a lot of speculation that the casualty rate is being suppressed, that there's far more than 6 American soldiers dead in the area, which is quite feasible that there is, and that the public are not being made aware of the proper body count. And also, too, if America does put a significant amount of troops on the ground and there is casualties, which there's going to be, if in any war there's going to be casualties, is that going to sway public opinion? I'm thinking back to the Vietnam area and the demonstrations against the war that went on then, and the brutal way some of them are put down. Is that where we're heading if the boots go on the ground?
No, we're not. It can't happen. I mean, even the geography of Iran, from what people tell me, it's not like Iraq, where you have these vast flat plains that you can roll tanks across. I mean, I just don't think it's feasible. And again, you have 92 million people. It's 3 times as big as Iraq, right? It's far more developed than Vietnam was in the 1960s. It's just going to be a killing zone. This is why I just wonder if he obviously hasn't thought all of this through, but he would be obviously hoping that somebody else would do the fighting for him, and he has contacted the Kurds in the north of Iran who have said no, because they've been let down by Trump on so many different occasions. Not last year when he allowed the new Syrian leader Free Rein to take on the Syrian Kurds. So, this is a real shit show, if you'll pardon my French, and I just don't see where the end game here is for the Americans if they can't put boots on the ground, which they can't do. I mean, what are they going to do? Just keep bombing and bombing and bombing, and what's going to be the end result of all of that?
Well, Carolyn Levitt did not rule out conscription yesterday in her press conference. She was kind of asked about that, and she didn't rule out conscription. But just on a connected thing, Donald Trump attended a repatriation of the 6 dead bodies yesterday, wearing his campaign cap, which was, I thought, very, very disrespectful. But I thought even more so was, any time I've ever seen an American body coming home from a war, the casket has always been put into a hearse and taken away into wherever they're going. Those 6 caskets were loaded into 2 transit vans and taken away. So what does that tell you? What does that?
It tells you how disrespect,
the lack of respect to these guys.
The lack of respect for American casualties. That's it. They just don't care. I mean, they have. If these casualties figures are correct, I find them hard to believe, frankly. They can get away with it. But when the 7 bodies turn into 70 and 70 turns into 700 and 7,000, that's going to be a different story. And, Americans were never, unlike, say, whatever you think about the Iraq campaign, and we all know now what a disaster it was, George W. Bush did prepare the American people for this. He did get a vote in Congress. People knew this was coming. Nobody really, nobody really knew that this was going to happen. I know there was a big build-up in the Gulf, etc., but there's no way that the American people have been conditioned for mass U.S. casualties this time around. And one other thing I'd say about the Iraq War is, I mean, the Iraq War happened 18 months after 9/11, so there was whether rightly or wrongly, there was a public support for the invasion initially. Obviously, that dissipated afterwards, but I don't think there's going to be any for this. This is going to be, for better or worse, the defining episode of Donald Trump's career, I think.
One last thing on that subject. On last Tuesday, people that were due to go for medical procedures at the Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany were told everything was cancelled. Now, it is the main hospital for the American Army in Germany, and the decks have been cleared there. So that would lead us to believe there's either been casualties or they're expecting casualties, because it's American Army personnel only that are going to be treated there for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. So let's just say, I mean, Pete Hegseth has been basically he's like an ex-boxer given charge of the biggest military in the world. It's shocking what's going on. The way they've sent out these campaign videos, basically talking about this as if this was just a sort of massive Xbox game. I mean, it's really disgusting what's going on, and I don't know where it's all going to end, but I can't see this ending well for Donald Trump.
No, I can't. I just want to give a bit of breaking news. Iran have just put out in the last couple of minutes saying it's destroyed a spy radar in Iraq's Kurdistan region. The Iran's Islamic, the IRGC, it says it's destroyed what it's described as a spy radar in Iraq's Kazakhstan's region near Iran's western border. Apparently, Al Jazeera's reporter said that the RRGC said the radar system was destroyed using a drone. So that's the very latest. Also coming up, that Bahrain have condemned Iranian attacks on Gulf states at the UN Security Council. And that sort of brings me on to the UN. Is the UN need reforming? Because the UN's supposed to be this body that's supposed to keep the peace and it's supposed to do what its job, and it's not. So does the UN need reforming?
Well, I would just say in relation to that, what Bihar Martin said during the week is, we're in a new era. The Russians invaded. So you have two members of the Security Council, Russia, which invaded Ukraine without any permission or even seeking the permission of the UN Security Council. The United States has gone into Iraq, has basically declared war on Iran again without seeking UN Security Council permission. And I mean, we're living in a new dispensation where, I mean, if you again go back to 2003, Bush did seek a resolution in the UN at the UN Security Council, as did his father previously for the first Gulf War. Those days are over. I mean, we're living in the age of might is right, I'm afraid. So the answer is, what reforms can you make when two members of this UN Security Council have conducted waged unilateral war on two countries without seeking a UN mandate?
Yeah, I agree. Philip, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think the UN has been rendered toothless, really. Whether by it's been a clever move by Trump. He knows that once it's done, it's done. I mean, anything UN say is not going to stop him carrying on what he's doing. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens now over the next few weeks when things settle down a bit. What sanctions or retribution is taken against America for doing this, if any.
I think what what this administration has shown for the rest of the world, that America is far too powerful, and it's far too dominant of everything, militarily, economically, socially, culturally, etc. I don't know what the answer to that is. I mean, obviously, Europeans have already got the message that they're going to have an independent defense at this stage. The whole world is going to have to wean itself off the United States in some ways, and I think this could end up being very, very bad for the United States in the long term, because the United States has demonstrated that it's not a reliable ally for anybody, that it's in many ways a rogue state in relation to international relations, and where that all ends, I don't know. But it can't be good for the United States either. I mean, somebody once described the United States as the one indispensable country in the world. It's the one country in the world that you can't really hurt economically, no matter what you do, because it's too powerful. And we'll have to see in the coming months if that's the case. I suspect it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do. Are you right to stay, Ronan, or do you need to
No,
go?
I'm going to go now, guys, because I've something to do. But look, we'll convene again, no doubt, very soon again. And thanks again for your time, guys. And
no,
really appreciate it.
We're honoured to have you on. We're really grateful you come onto these podcasts. And
well, it's an honour to be here. So there it is. We're both honoured. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, see you later. Okay. Take care. Bye bye. Mr. Brady, right, let's get on. Right, where do you want to go? Right, let's start with this. You and me now we're gonna solve the Iran war in about 5 minutes here. Yeah. Now, these are pictures taken last night of the oil depot being hit in Tehran. How important, how different is this for Israel or America hitting what's the plan for hitting the oil depots?
I'll tell you what the plan is. They hit the water desalination plants first.
Yeah,
which
they did.
meant there was no water then to put out these fires. And I believe now in the atmosphere in Tehran, it's like walking in the dead of night in the middle of the day. The air is thick with oil fumes and oil smoke or whatever. And people are finding it very hard to breathe. It's so bad. So this is a plan to I would say, to kill the spirit of the Iranian people, really, because they
I don't think it is, Philip. I sort of I don't think it. Look, I will disagree. I don't think it is to kill the spirit of the Iranian people. I think it's to kill the spirit of the Islamic regime. I think it's to do that.
Maybe
look,
they'd be included in that. They'd be included in that. They're going to kill us. But I mean, it's the ordinary man in the street. The guys in the regime can go into their bunkers and probably airtight rooms, whereas the guy living in an apartment block hasn't much choice, So it's going to affect everybody.
Yeah, you feel sorry for them. And look, I think, as I said earlier, you and me have no problem of getting rid of this horrific regime. We really don't.
No.
I think it's been a regime. I think, as I said before, as Ronan said, and I think I said earlier, this is done from the British and the Americans trying to stick the nose into to what's good for them. What's good for them, and it never works. I mean, you go back to the first Gulf War, Philip, right? America stopped on the edge of Baghdad. No, we're going to leave Saddam there. It's fine. 13 years later, they went in and toppled him. So, they never learn their lessons, the Americans or the British. They never do learn their lessons.
Well, now you've got back in those days, Dermot, the American leadership at least had two brain cells to rub together, unlike the present. I mean, Pete Hegseth in charge of the army now. It's like putting. I heard a very good one. It's like putting Fred West in charge of a girls' school. It's just you just don't do things like that. I mean, it's. I think it's the blind leading the blind, and Keir Starmer, by staying out of it, may have incurred the wrath of Donald Trump, but at least he's making his stand. He's saying he doesn't agree with this. Okay, getting rid of the regime is perfect, but nobody's going to say boo to that. It's the fact that it's now involved so many other countries that have been caught up in the crossfire. That is what the problem is, and it's spreading all the time.
Well, the problem with Starmer is. Sorry, Philip. Sorry, I don't know if we're lagging a bit, but the problem with Starmer is, right, he does have a right to protect his own military bases in the Middle East and in Cyprus. He has a duty of care to send ships there to protect, British assets.
Yeah, but British assets, not American assets. Not American.
No, British assets. And he's not even doing that. And I can understand, Germany are getting involved. Other countries are helping. Even the use of using their air bases to refuel the planes. It's in everyone's interest that this regime goes. Legal or not legal, I think because he was a lawyer, and this is just my view, because he was a lawyer, I think he's thinking with a lawyer's head instead of thinking as a prime minister of a country.
Maybe.
Would you agree with that?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, who knows what's going on inside his head? All I know is that he's probably been getting advice from 4 or 5 different quarters, and every one of them is different. So it's a case of making the right decision. Maybe he hasn't made the right decision. I think he's right to not to bow down and do exactly what Donald Trump wants him to do. I think that's like the Prime Minister of Spain. He's got that one right. But as you say, he should have the wherewithal and the logistics ready to look after their own bases in Cyprus, which I understand there's a ship that's supposed to be going down, which is broken down or needs to be fixed or something. It's not ready to go, which shows a distinct lack of preparation for this. But then again, 9 days ago, this hadn't happened. So, it does take time to get those things ready.
We got more breaking news, and it is a US troop has died from his wounds sustained in an Iran attack. So that's 7 now.
One. Yeah.
Another US soldier has died from wounds sustained during an Iranian attack on an American base in Saudi Arabia. The US Central Command says it is the 7th US troop death since the beginning on the February 28th after US and Israel targeted Iran. So it come and there's more here as well, Philip. About 12 minutes ago, where was it? No, it was about half an hour ago that the French president has called for an immediately cease strikes. French President Emmanuel Macron has spoken with the Iranian President Mossad. I emphasize it's necessary for Iran to immediately cease its strikes against countries. Do you think the French getting involved? Do you think he will listen to the EU?
Donald Trump had a right pop at Macron last night saying France are looking for aren't getting fully involved, and Trump's reply was, "Oh, what does he know? He'll be out of office in a few months anyway." I mean, people have to be attempting to get a ceasefire here. It'll not happen. It'll not happen. But at least we're now got someone that's taken the bull by the horns and is trying to move things along a wee bit and stop the escalation of this fighting. But there's one thing that I don't think has been publicized very much is, have you noticed in the last couple of days, the lack of information that's coming out of Israel? Like, according to reports, there's now a law being passed in Israel that if you send a photograph or a video of the damage that's been done to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, you're liable to 5 years in jail. Like, Tel Aviv, apparently, as somebody compared Tel Aviv to Gaza. It's been hit that many times with Iranian missiles, but there's no documentation, no details coming out of it. So is
that true? Or is it a rumor?
No, I've seen the photographs of some of them. No, it's been bad. It has been hit. Now, how badly hit, it's hard to tell. But Tel Aviv has been hit numerous times by missiles.
I meant the law. Is that true? Or is it a rumor?
Oh, well, it may not be. It's probably an ad hoc law, but certainly nobody's putting it. Very few people are putting out social media. You normally, in a time like this, with social media, it will be flooded with photographs and videos. It's not happening.
No, it isn't. Well, look, Philip, we're going to leave it there. We will be back on during the week with more news. Look, if anything majorly breaks, we'll be back on straight away. What we might do is try to do a pre-recorded update for you guys, probably every day, probably a 10-minute update. That will give you guys a little bit of information, just a little bit of breaking news, what's happening and our thoughts on it. So maybe, Philip, we can start doing that. And then then the live shows will be twice or 3 times a week while this is going on. Philip, look, it's a major conflict. It ain't going to end anytime soon. No. But it for me, it's the poor Iranian people that are suffering, not the people that need to suffer, but the poor Iranian people that are suffering at the moment. So, look, let's hope for everyone's sake that this brutal regime decides to hightail it somewhere up some mountain somewhere, and that democracy can take over and the Iranian people can actually live in peace.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, and then there's a country that will get on with everyone. Because, as somebody said, as Ronan said, there's 90 to 92 million people living in Iran, but only 5% support the Islamic regime. Yeah. It's only 5%, Philip. It's not a massive number.
Yeah, they probably, most of them live in Tehran as well, so that's why it looks more. It looks more.
So, look, the rights are wrong of what Donald Trump's doing, legal or not illegal, or the rights are wrong of how this has gone about. I think the one good thing that should come out with it, and probably will come out with it, should be the end of this brutal regime. But you and me both know, Philip, he will make a deal very quickly with anyone if it suits him. So I think anyone that's thinking that the Shah's going to come back and we're going to be free and we're going to have. I hope you do. I hope you get what you want. I hope you get your freedom. I hope you do get the life that the Iranian people deserves. But I just have a funny feeling, deep down, Philip, that Donald Trump will shake the hand of the devil. If it means he gets it, yeah. If it means he would get a deal that's good for him.
Oh yeah, that's it. It's all for him. It's all about him. At the end of the day,
it is. Yeah. I mean, look, you and me. I'm not speaking for you, Philip, but I'm sure you say that you echo the same sentiments for me. But look, guys, we are going to leave it there. There will be a video up tomorrow, so look out for that. Whatever you do, thank you all for watching. Please hit the like. Please hit the subscription button if you can. We are a young channel. We are growing, so do help us let's grow some more. But guys, we'll see you during the week, and be safe out there.
Thanks to Ronan for coming on again.
Yeah, cheers for Ronan, our resident world-renowned journalist. He liked that. He might be going into work with a bit of a big head tomorrow. Me calling him world-renowned.
He's not like that.
I'll keep praising them. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you soon.
Good night.